Hi, I'm Lara Cowan. Welcome to the Botanic Shed podcast.
I'm absolutely delighted to have Samantha Clarke at Botanic Shed today. She's a happiness consultant. Lovely to see you, Samantha.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Samantha has had accolades from across the press and corporate world, but Alain de Botton wrote about her that she's one of the standout teachers at the School of Life. Her empathy, her understanding of her material, her verve and her wit and her humanity make her a teacher anyone would want to learn from. That is just amazing. To be someone like that and to have Alain de Botton say that about you is just wonderful. To be someone like that because you're giving and you're doing such a good work. So Elle, Harper, the Stylist and Guardian are all splashing your name across the world and they're in your website. And you do work with individuals and corporates from Dishoom to JP Morgan. So very, very impressive. Not least that you've also been on a panel with Hillary Clinton recently. And you do all this with daily challenges of a life-threatening illness. So absolutely amazing and wonderful to have you on board. Do you want to just say a few words before I hit you with your questions?
Yeah, go for it. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I agree with all of it. I just love what I do. I think, I do have a chronic condition. I have sickle cell anemia, and that is a genetic blood disorder, which generally means that, my blood cells are not the shape of normal adults. And so therefore I am generally bit more anemic, low immunity and low energy. And I think it's been pivotal for me to figure out how I balance my working day, how I top up my happiness tank. And I've just decided that that's the mission that I'm here to support others to do, to really figure out how they can work intentionally, be more mindful and, have that energy and vigor to do great work in the world.
Who better to prove that fact, and tools that you're sharing is just working for you. And you look so bright, you are so bright. It's wonderful to have you here. You're in Hove, I know that, and you moved from town to the country. You're living, but I think you're thriving, obviously. I think no one would doubt that, despite having this life threatening and challenging every day, I think, illness, whether you're in the middle of an actual physical bout or just dealing with the sort of, imagine a hangover of in the emotional. Well, I'm sure you deal with it really, really well, but you can imagine that it must be so hard to be pulled down and pulled back again all the time. And how do you think your nature connection and your slowly developed love of nature has helped you deal with everything?
Yeah, great question. I had a really bad dip in my health. Well, I've had many different dips, but I had one in 2016, 2017. And I was on the lookout for more natural ways to heal my body. I mean, doctors prescribe lots of different medications. And I just thought there has to be an alternative way for me to really, really manage when I have a sickle crisis and I'm in intense amounts of pain, or just the general day-to-day energy. And I was also looking at more natural ways to weave that learning into the work that I was doing. And I stumbled across an advert for a gross national happiness certification to become a practitioner in Buddhist philosophies and Bhutanese philosophies around happiness and well-being. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this could not be better. And it was a really
Facebook advert. So it's amazing.
They were advertising the program.
Yeah.
And I looked, and it was at Schumacher College, and they are known for, deep ecology learning, deep nature understanding. And part of the program, was us doing lots of vision quests out in nature, spending time with trees. My friends just know me as Tree Woman now.
Yeah.
And having kind of deep moments where we were recharging ourselves in nature and really learning about how bountiful nature is to ground us, to help us live intentionally. And that really kicked off my learning and cemented a lot of my meditational practice. And now I live in Hove. I love London. It's my birthplace. I will always love it. But I just needed to be closer to water. I needed to be in nature and just better quality of air. And I've noticed how it's really changed my health. And there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not in the park that's literally opposite my house, just taking a moment to be still and seeking the knowledge that trees have to give us.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's beautiful to think of you there, and that you're getting stronger and stronger, I imagine, with the sea there. My daughter's down there at the moment, so it's lovely to think of you both down in that part of the world. You're trying to daily change the way people think, and the title of your recent panel discussion was Changing Thinking to Change the World, and you were sat alongside the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, which I was like, wow, and the CEO of Character Lab, Angela Duckworth. In I think a big milestone in your career. It must have been very exciting, but they must have been equally as excited and inspired to be with you.
Yeah.
I wondered whether, because this is exactly what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to, the Botanic Shed, change the way people think, so they wake up thinking of nature first, like what's going on in my nature and what's going outside. So it's a nature first thinking I want to establish. And I wondered whether that actually came up, our interdependency with nature. Was that on the agenda at all in your discussions at the Global Challenges Summit?
So it was definitely part of a wider conversation on how do we support our environment, the climate, and, you know, the actions that we take, the ripple effects it then has on, you know, communities, companies, societies. We definitely talked a lot about the inner ecology, especially of leaders and managers, and what happens when we don't really understand our well-being and the strengths and implications that will have on how we lead. We could definitely have done with a bit more of an invitation into looking at how nature can shape our behaviors, our leadership styles, our patterns. And I do believe that it's a continued conversation. And I think, you know, you are right that changing the world helps if we do start to change our thinking. How do we show up? What are the environments that really nurture and support us? How do we stimulate and support others to lean into those environments as well? And it's a continued discussion that I'm definitely supporting my clients to do, and to help them to especially navigate tech overwhelm in the world as well.
Yeah, huge problem, isn't it? So so I mean, you've got the gauntlet of doing the amazing work you do while you had to struggle with physical illness, which I hope you can navigate as smoothly as you possibly can. But could you also take the other gauntlet, to take nature as a stakeholder to these places where you're going talking to the table, as someone who is part. I'm sure you already do, but if there's opportunity when it's not on the agenda, it would be amazing for nature to have a seat and visible, you know.
Yeah, it definitely does need to. I mean, I do think in the work that I'm doing at the moment, I'm currently doing training in art psychotherapy, and really looking at ways for us to express ourselves, to work through different traumas, transitions, changes. And so I have been guiding my clients actually through when we're coaching. I've got one coming down that we're going to be doing some coaching by the sea, and being a lot more immersed in nature as I am guiding my sessions, and having that kind of therapeutic balance, the coaching and the nature. So it's that kind of triad of support.
Oh, amazing. Lucky clients.
Yeah.
On that note, so happy clients. You must have some, well, you probably all of them are very happy, but I might have some fun memories of any of those happy, energetically vibing moments that you've seen, that you've created.
I think all my clients definitely give me like a massive just boost in terms of what they're trying to do, whether or not it is people who have been through my Changemaker certification, so they themselves are training in how to make change in their companies and their teams, or actually go out there and do this as a new profession to become a happiness consultant. And it's interesting to see the journeys that they've taken in their lives, from how they have started to really treat their mental and their physical well-being, how they see themselves making decisions differently. I love it when they're also finding their voice to ask for what it is that they need in the workplace, but also to set firmer boundaries. I love it when I see companies making changes to the way that they're working, the processes, them also doing happiness health checks and realizing, like, what can we do to support people to work best, to lean into their operating system and to create the energy management and nourishment they need to sustain themselves in the day. And also to look at other ways we can do things like meetings. Could we have walking meetings? Are we always needing to be in front of the screen? So I think every piece of work that I do is about really helping to identify new ways of working, identify new intentional ways of showing up better for ourselves and the ripple effect it then has on others. And how do we make happiness and well-being at work sustainable? Because I think everyone talks about progression, profitability, productivity, but sometimes that is in the expense of sustaining and thriving. And I think we should be aiming for both: thriving of the individual, which will then support thriving of the company and the community that it's an ecosystem of.
Yeah, and this is a tangent just out of what you were saying there, but recognizing that humans are up and down in the flow, not just like, you just can't squeeze them. we can't squeeze it, our brains and our muscles dry at the same pace throughout the same time through the year. So I imagine people are learning from you that they're able to, use and mold people and help them at different times according to their flow and their natural way of being, which is awesome. Lucky them.
Yeah, I think we can't treat ourselves like we do our computers. Even our phones and our computers need time to be charged and stored up. And I think we have to realize that our brains can only be pushed so far without rest and rejuvenation.
Yeah, I mean, I recognise that. I've begun to learn that, and I'm like, now my brain is doing that thing, and I need to stop now, otherwise I'll lose something or something. So it's been lovely talking to you through those questions. Do you want to share what your tip is for people to remember you by, and hopefully to take through their lives with them and share with other people that will help them develop a deeper connection to nature, which is basically vital for us, like as vital as food and water, I think.
Yeah, I think a good thing for me is really thinking about, can you infuse nature into your wind up or your wind down routine? So when you're thinking about stepping into your day versus just launching into your day and running into a gauntlet of all the things that are on your to-do list, which might be other people's agendas, think, how do I just tap into a little bit of me? Whether it is just going for a brief walk, is it sitting by some of the plants in your house and just really feeling that moment to charge? Or is it going to be an evening wind down, a way for you to really delineate that clear line between where work ends and your evening begins, taking a moment to be in nature, going again for a walk, sitting under a tree, just being in the park, taking your dog for a walk, just grounding yourself and doing that reset. And I think if you can take the time daily, and then that builds up into a weekly habit, a monthly habit, you'll start to see the difference in that serenity and peace within yourself.
I love that. It's very smart anyway, because it helps with our circadian rhythm. It's opening and closing a space.
Yes, 100%.
Productivity and a space for rest and respecting our bodies.
Yeah.
So amen to that. That's really good advice. Thank you so much. It's been lovely talking to you, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Bye.